My name is Laura Savage. I am a writer for wholenations.faith, and I guess you could say a Instagram influencer in some way, shape, or form. But when I saw the TV series Seeking Persephone, it just resonated in my heart. I loved it. It touched me so deeply that I had to do a review on this series. I have not read the books, so my review will strictly be informed from the TV series. So episode 1 opens up with us being introduced to Persephone and her sisters. We see that Persephone's family has fallen on hard times to the point that they are having to wash laundry just to be able to afford food, the basics. They are struggling to survive, to get by day by day. Her brothers, we find, are serving in the Navy. The story is set in the early 1800s, I want to say 1805, which puts us in the middle of the Napoleonic Wars, which means that being in the Navy is dangerous. It comes with, there is that knowledge that her brothers could die. There is a risk there. And we see from the very beginning that Persephone has taken on a responsibility to take care of and love her siblings the way a mother would. We also see that there is no mother in the picture. The mother has obviously passed away. So Persephone has taken on the role of a mother to her siblings. Specifically to Artemis, which is the youngest. We see her relating to her very much the way a mother would to a daughter. This combination of tender love, gentle firmness, and a little bit of humor, knowing exactly what to say to pull Artemis out of the depths of her despair and encourage her. Persephone she can perceive when her siblings are struggling. Daphne, which is just a little older than Artemis, is very studious, but she feels unseen by everyone except Persephone. And we see Persephone immediately reach out to Daphne, who is reading in a room and who indicates that she feels unseen just by a simple exchange with her older sister Persephone, that her father doesn't usually speak to me. And Persephone immediately goes about trying to it's almost like heal a heart wound that's in her little sister by assuring her that once she's done with all of her chores and everything that she needs to do, she wants to hear what Daphne's been studying. She wants to hear what is on her sister's heart, because if it's important to her sister, it's important to Persephone. So there's just this consistent love that's flowing through Persephone to her siblings. It is just beautiful to witness and watch. It's very self-sacrificial. And then immediately we see Persephone turn around to find her youngest sister Artemis on the floor, very much in the depths of despair. And Persephone knows how to fix it simply by getting down on her little sister's level and finding something that would give her sister joy. And it's something as simple as making bread pudding. And that was all that her sister needed. But Persephone knows her sister. She knows that that little child needed something that would give her joy to hang on to pull her out of the sadness that she was in. And so it's just another example of how perceptive Persephone is, how sacrificial she is, how much she loves her siblings, and how their happiness and their well-being is very important to Persephone. And then we go and we see Persephone talking with her sister Athena, who is the closest to her in age. So this is more of a sister-to-sister relationship. And they're talking about dreams. And Athena's dreams are, oh my goodness, we can all relate to them. You know, she's dreaming about the latest fashions, about love, about finding just the simple joys in life and having hope and the ability to believe that those dreams could come true. And we find that Persephone's dreams simply revolve around her sisters, her family, finding happiness, being secure, her brothers coming home. Her dreams have nothing to do with herself, but her family. Once again, highlighting that Persephone embodies sacrificial love. And now we get to the point of the story where Persephone goes upstairs to talk to her father about a letter that he has received. And it is then that Persephone finds out that she has received an offer of marriage from the Duke of Kildare, who apparently is a very old, prestigious title. He is incredibly wealthy, but beyond that, she knows nothing about him. He has offered a significant amount of money, so much so that it would secure her family, from what we're told, basically for generations. So basically, this offer of marriage is not, it's an offer of redemption for her family to pull them out of this place of desperation that they find themselves in. But it comes with a cost. It comes with a cost. And what is the cost? The cost is that Persephone is giving up the opportunity to possibly ever know love. She's giving up the opportunity to fall in love and to choose who she's going to spend her life with. And not only that, she will be leaving her family. She'll be leaving her siblings that she has been raising as a mother. She will not be there to pick up after her father and make sure that he's okay. But if she accepts this offer, her brothers could come home eventually. Her sisters will be able to secure good marriages. Her family will be redeemed. So Persephone is faced with quite a choice, knowing absolutely nothing about this Duke of Kildare other than he's very wealthy. So as you've probably guessed, Persephone makes a very noble and self-sacrificial decision. She chooses to accept this offer of marriage to a man that she's never met for her family, for the future happiness and security of her family. She's laying down any possible joy and love for herself out of love for her family. And it's really a beautiful thing to see her willingness to sacrifice so much for her family that she loves so dearly and tenderly. So from the very beginning, we see that Persephone has a beautiful character. She is loving, she's loyal, and very courageous in the face of a great unknown. And now enters the Duke of Kildare. We see him for the first time at the church, waiting for the arrival of Persephone. And immediately we get the impression that this is a man of action. This is a man who demands respect. There seems to be I wouldn't say hardness, but an intensity about him. And very much a man of honor. There's a moment where someone in the congregation makes a quip about Persephone that is not flattering, and the Duke draws his sword immediately, and the minister has to kind of calm him down in a jokingly way, like, let's not kill anybody today, please. Ha ha. But then we see the Duke is frustrated because where is Persephone? Will she come? And it's really at the last minute, right before the Duke of Kildare is about to go and retrieve Persephone for himself, that her sisters come into the church and Persephone arrives with her father. And the Duke seems surprised that she actually did come. So we see that in the back of his head, he wasn't even sure if she would accept his proposal. So he's taking a risk, even in the midst of putting on this show of confidence and strength. There was in the back of his mind this doubt that this woman who he's never met, and he's offered this massive amount of money to her family to secure this marriage, that she might not come, but she's there. And this is where it starts to get really interesting. One thing that I found almost heartbreaking is as Persephone is walking down the aisle to marry a man that she's never met and who isn't even looking towards her as she's walking towards him, her father becomes distracted for some reason. I guess he's lost in his head. He's somewhere else. He stops walking with her, and Persephone has to summon the courage to walk down the aisle by herself to marry a man that she's never met. Once again, this love for her family, for her sisters, for her father, her brothers at sea, fueling her forward, fueling her steps towards an uncertain future with a man she knows nothing about. And she comes up and she faces the Duke of Kildare. So now Persephone is standing across from the Duke of Kildare, and the marriage ceremony begins. And the Duke has memorized his vows very impressively, and he rattles them off with this very authoritative voice, but it's a voice that seems to lack any emotion or any investment in this moment. And he's barely looking at Persephone as he's doing this. And you can see Persephone, who is attempting to keep her emotions under control as she's listening to this man. And then it's her turn to respond, and she is incapable of doing it without help. She has to look at the book and read the vows, but she gets through it. And once it's done, the Duke is like, "Is that it? Here we go, off to the castle," and marches out of the church. So the ride home from the church is almost humorous. It gives us a little bit more of an insight into the Duke of Kildare, his personality. What is he like? And we see that he is a very opinionated man. He knows what he believes. He has no problem expressing what he's feeling. And that begins with taking aim at Persephone's name, which he finds to be absolutely ridiculous. But then when he insists that Persephone addresses him as Kildare, she refuses and quips basically that it sounds like she's accusing him of a crime. And we see a slight smile on Adam, is the Duke of Kildare's face, and which to me indicated that he liked that Persephone had the courage to stand up to him in that moment in her own gentle way and say no. So by the end of the carriage ride, when they get to the castle and they're about to get out of the carriage, the Duke of Kildare says that Persephone can call him by his first name, Adam. And what stood out to me with his reluctance to be called Adam is that the Duke of Kildare has gone to great lengths to keep people at a distance. There has to be a reason for this. Why would this man, who appears to be so strong, confident, very intimidating, why is he keeping people at a distance? There has to be a reason, right? But he concedes that Persephone, his wife, may address him by his first name, which is very personal, obviously, to him, because only one other person other than his mother calls him that, and that is his good friend, Harry. So then Persephone is presented to his staff, and one thing that I really liked was that the people who surrounded Adam, who took care of his estate and basically took care of him, were really good people, and they were very loyal to Adam, which speaks not only highly of them, of his staff, the people who work for him, but it speaks highly of his character. So we're given clues that there's more to the Duke than meets the eye. There's more than this gruffness, this intimidation to him. Because what we're presented with is a very intimidating man who is keeping people at a distance, who likes to argue, and yet he's surrounded by very loyal, kind, and compassionate people. So the first night of their marriage ends on a sad and revealing note. Sad in the sense that both Persephone and Adam believe that their marriage has no chance, that there's just no hope, that it's hopeless. Persephone's alone in her room, and Adam is confronted by his best friend Harry, who we see obviously knows the Duke well enough to not be intimidated at all by Adam's confident, strong, and at times very gruff demeanor. This does not intimidate Harry in the least. Harry it just kind of flows off Harry's back, rolls off his back like water off a duck's back, okay? It's not an issue. But as Harry and the Duke are talking, we get a glimpse into the Duke's heart. It is a wounded heart. The Duke has a scar on his face, and we see that scar goes deeper than just the physical. It's a scar that he carries in his heart. And we see that the Duke believes that he is unlovable, incapable of being loved. And when he saw Persephone, this beautiful woman who is now his wife, he didn't know what to do with it. He is intimidated by the fact that he has a beautiful, appealing wife. And this scares Adam because Adam has built walls to protect himself and has made a point to be intimidating to protect himself. And this is what we find out through his bantering with Harry, because Harry basically comes in and calls him out. He's like, "What are you doing in here? You should be with your wife." And just throws it all in the Duke's face. And the Duke is not okay with that. He's upset, he's angry, but we also see by his facial expressions that Harry is right. Harry's hit the heart of the matter, that the Duke got more than he bargained for. That Adam thought he was going to get a wife who was unappealing and who would just be happy to live in a castle and kind of fade away and just be taken care of. But that's not what he got in Persephone. What he got in Persephone was someone that would require him to break down those walls that he had built around his heart. Basically, Persephone is someone that Adam could truly love. And for him to love someone means that he's going to open himself up to be hurt. Because if we really love someone, then we are allowing ourselves to be hurt. And that's really what I gathered from that conversation with Adam and Harry in this first episode, was Persephone, what she represented was that Adam was going to have to be vulnerable, that he was going to have to open himself to being hurt, that she was someone that would push him out of his comfort zone, that would require more of him than anyone ever had or probably ever would, just by being who she is. Now we get a further glimpse into Adam's character the following morning when Persephone is saying goodbye to her family, because he's out there watching her say goodbye to her siblings. He's watching the pain that Persephone and her siblings are going through as they're saying goodbye, specifically when Artemis, the youngest, is saying goodbye, and she's crying, and Persephone is attempting to hold back her own tears and comforting her little sister. And it ends with Artemis telling Persephone that she's the best mama she's ever had. And we see a flash to Adam's face, and it's full of pain and sorrow and tenderness, all mixed at once, showing us that this man is capable of feeling very deep emotions. So then the carriage leaves with Persephone's family, and Persephone is incapable of holding back the tears at this point. And there is a brief conversation between Adam and Persephone, really where Adam is kind of maybe just trying to understand, like, why would you say you wouldn't cry and you're crying? And he sees by Persephone's response that it was out of love. So he's getting this glimpse into the heart of this woman that he's married, and it is a heart full of love, of sacrificial love. And it impacts him and touches him deeply, because as he walks away, he says what Artemis says, the best mama she ever had, seeing that he has been touched by what he just saw, but he's incapable of doing anything else, and he simply walks away. And when Persephone realizes that she can't turn to Adam for comfort because he's already left, she basically flees to the back of the garden where she thinks that she's going to be alone, where she believes that she is going to be unseen. And she just weeps. She weeps over the loss of her family, the loss of that intimacy, the loss of that familial love that was all that she had and was what she had given so much of her life to protect, right? And which was why she married Adam. But little to her knowledge, Adam could see her and was watching and was speaking to the portrait of his father that was behind him, basically asking his father, how long into your marriage was it before mother started to cry? And then we see a glimpse into his heart that he doesn't want Persephone to be sad. He doesn't want her to be miserable, because he asks his father, how long did it take you to stop feeling like a monster? Adam clearly perceives himself as a monster, as someone who is unlovable and maybe even incapable of giving love, which is why he keeps a distance. He keeps himself at a distance from Persephone. He's watching. He clearly cares. He's moved by her pain, but he simply watches because he doesn't know what to do, because he's scarred and he's wounded. And because of those wounds, he doesn't know how to reach out and comfort Persephone. And then we see later that night that Persephone is so overcome by the pain of losing her family and just the unknown, and probably feeling rejected by this man that she has married, who at this moment seems so cold and distant, unapproachable, that she simply has to go to bed. She can't even go to dinner. And Harry confronts the Duke again in his study. He's like, where's your wife? Kind of poking fun at him, like, did you throw her in the dungeon? And poking fun at this reputation that Adam has of being a very harsh man, maybe even a man who's done some questionable things. And this angers Adam. But Harry's poking at Adam actually motivates the Duke to action. It motivates the Duke to want to see for himself, to ensure that Persephone is actually all right. So he goes and he finds Persephone asleep on her bed with no covers, and he could have easily just walked out and left her there. But instead, he goes and he gets a blanket, and at first he just tosses it over her, But then he stops and he goes back and he tucks it around her gently and leaves. And I loved that moment because it's when no one's watching that you see the real heart of Adam. And it's a caring heart, and it's the heart of a protector. But it's a heart that's wounded and that has a lot of walls around it. So the first episode ends with our beautiful Persephone, who embodies self-sacrificial love, gentleness, and caring, long-suffering. She embodies all these things so beautifully and elegantly, not knowing where she stands with her husband, not understanding Adam. And it ends with Adam finding himself in a situation that he did not see coming. He finds himself married to a beautiful young woman. He finds himself unsure of what he's going to do. He finds himself caring, but not knowing how to show that he cares. And I think being afraid to show that he cares because he doesn't want to get hurt again. And that makes us wonder what hurt him.